Hi, and welcome to our very first vet vid. I'm Molly Corder, current president of APVMA, and I'm joined here by Dr. Corey Paradigm. Tell us about yourself.
I'm an equine veterinarian, really pretty strictly equine outside of the occasional farm dog or cat that I'll take a look at, but I always preface with I'm a horse vet, not a small animal vet. Have a little bit more personal interest in internal medicine and reproduction, but do lameness to general practice. The only thing really I don't do is dentistry. And I have pretty much zero interest in dentistry, so that's why I don't do it.
So where did you do your undergrad?
Michigan State University.
Okay, and is that where you went to veterinary school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So what was your experience like there?
I really enjoyed it. I love Michigan State. Really
Spartans
had,
fan?
yeah. They just have such a great program. Both pre-vet and vet program. Just really strong in a lot of areas and really good people there.
So as far as your electives and those kind of courses, I assume you would take mostly equine in veterinary school?
In vet school, yeah. The way our program was set up, you had, for the clinical courses, we had, I should say for classroom courses, we had no electives. I know that's different at other schools, but we all pretty much just took the same stuff.
Okay.
Once we got into clinicals, we did have 9 electives, I believe, and mine were almost all equine based.
Okay, very cool. So what types of electives, like what are some of the classes that other students interested in equine medicine might take?
From
like just the veterinary school side, I guess.
Really, if you want to specialize in equine, any equine elective you can take is going to be beneficial, because the more experience you get, the more you see is going to be helpful. We had, in the extracurriculars, we had a full team where we come in after hours and help, babysit, take care of the neonatal foals, and tons of experience there. The colic team, same thing, you could come in and sort of observe, help a little bit with colics and colic surgeries. Just the more experience, the more you can see, the more you can do.
Absolutely.
Is really, so I don't think if there's time for it, you're not going to go wrong with any equine extracurricular.
So as far as when you were a pre-vet student, what sort of activities did you do outside of the classroom that you think helped you get into veterinary school?
Well, I didn't decide to get into to apply to vet school until I was halfway through undergrad, so my first 2 years of undergrad were very different than my last 2 years. So I didn't really have that much extracurriculars as far as vet related in the first 2 years, but I joined the PVMA. I was on the equestrian team.
Okay. What type of riding did you do?
I was on the Western team. I ride a hunt seat as well, but we were only allowed to be on one team.
Oh, okay.
And
bigger school.
It just worked out better. My first year, you could be on both, and I was on both, but then we had to pick, and I had more points on the Western side, so it went that way. I'm trying to think of what other, I joined, I'm trying to think of some other clubs. I don't think, there's an equine club in vet school, but I don't think there was one in undergrad. I just tried to, I worked at the vet school at Michigan State when I was in undergrad, got me some good experience. I tried to then shadow some small animal vets in my free time to get experience, helped on a research project.
What kind of research was that?
It was on shockwave and navicular.
Oh, okay, very cool.
And its analgesic effects.
Oh.
So it involved a lot of running. Just different things I did a study abroad,
wow.
Which I would push anyone to do. It was a great experience.
Where did you go?
South Africa.
Wow, okay.
For 3 weeks, I didn't do a full semester, but still, getting out and doing something else is...
Yeah, that's very different from Michigan, I assume.
Right. So, the more just different things you can see and do, I've worked for a horse farm since I was a kid, so I've, the horse background, but just exposing yourself to different things is pretty key, I think.
Okay. And then how do you think academics versus experience, like what proportion would you say is important in the application? Are they pretty equal or one more than the other?
I guess my feeling, and this could change too, was that they're pretty equal.
Okay.
I applied twice to vet school, didn't get in my first time. My grades pretty much the same both times, but I felt my application was a lot stronger the second time as far as I had done the study abroad at that point. I'd done the research project at that point. I had, I'd done a few more things that just made my application stronger.
Absolutely.
But my grades were the same. So I feel like, it's not just that you make A's, and that you gotta see that
right, that
you're a well-rounded person as well.
Okay, excellent. So I guess our next question for you is, from being a practicing veterinarian in the field, what is one of the most difficult or interesting cases that you've come across?
Oh boy. There's lots of, you can take that in a lot of different ways. I currently have a case, a horse that has a lytic lesion in both of his hocks that he is lame from, that I have shown the x-rays to everyone across the country that I can find, and not a single person has seen anything like it.
Wow, that would be so difficult.
So we're kind of feeling our way along, trying to treat him and see what works, because no one has ever seen it.
Wow.
So
what type of horse is this?
He's a warm blood.
Okay. Is he dressage or hunter jumper?
Hunter.
Okay. Wow, that's a problem, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's an interesting one. We have interesting medicine cases every so often too. Had a horse that had a diaphragmatic hernia, which a 10-year-old with no history of trauma, which is a pretty interesting case.
Wow,
We did do a necropsy on him, and his stomach was in his chest.
Wow,
So,
that's bizarre.
It was really bizarre when I'm looking in his abdomen and wondering where the stomach is. So
sounds like you've seen everything.
if you look, if you are, have your eyes open enough and are open to seeing different things and investigating different things, you will find weird stuff.
Keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess that our other question would be, as far as your fourth year in veterinary school, that kind of thing, were you really exposed to a lot of the same interesting cases, or do you think you learned more on the field, or a combination?
It's a pretty steep learning curve.
Okay.
Not saying that vet school didn't prepare me, but there's only so much they can teach you, and certainly in an academic setting, you only see the cases that get referred. So you don't see the stuff that people don't have money to refer, but practitioners sort out on the farm anyways. So I guess yes and no. I mean, I do think that I had a good education and was well prepared, I guess, to start to handle and start to learn how to handle some of these different cases that you don't even know. Then I think it's important too to have good mentors when you graduate, because it is such a steep learning curve.
Absolutely.
And I think I've been lucky to have that, so that's made a huge difference as well.
So how did you get involved at the Cleveland Equine Clinic?
It's one of those funny stories. A friend of mine in vet school, he did some summer research with, his name's Dr. Robinson, at Michigan State. He does a lot of respiratory research, one of the leading respiratory researchers in the country, equine related, I should say. And they come down to Thistledown every so often to do some of their research, to scope some of the resources. And they work with Dr. Berthold because of that. And so this friend of mine had come down here a few times, met everyone at the clinic from these trips, and they offered him a job. Well, he and I were just chit-chatting one day, at lunch, and I'm, job hunting at this point and looking around, and he's talking about this good job that he has down in Cleveland, and I was like, not even serious, said, oh, I don't suppose they're looking to hire someone else. And he said, yeah, I think they might actually. And I said, oh yeah, I don't suppose they're looking to hire another new grad. And he said, no, I don't think they'd mind. So he and I came down and he introduced me to everyone, and
wow, that worked out perfectly.
Yeah. So it wasn't even a serious, I came down one more time for a working interview after I met them, but Yeah,
Wow.
it just kind of, some things just fall into your lap.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
That's great. So I guess probably one of my final questions for you is, what was it in your life that made you decide after your first 2 years of undergrad to go and pursue a career in veterinary medicine?
Well, it's funny because I've always had an interest in medicine ever since I was a little kid. Thought medicine was cool and kind of nerd that way. I still think medicine is one of the coolest things around.
Absolutely.
And I've always liked horses, ridden horses since I was a little kid, worked at a horse farm. My parents said it was the obvious choice for me to be a vet, but I wasn't sure I wanted to make horses my career.
Right.
And it just took me a while of just sort of sorting it out. And really what made the difference was I shadowed my vet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And really one day of shadowing with him, I thought this was great. And
here
so
you are.
here I am. Then I had to quickly get stuff around and get prereqs and
Yeah, that's
all of that. But
in 2 years, that's impressive.
Yeah. A few summer classes. So.
Awesome. Well, I guess is there anything else you'd like to add or advice for future students?
You know, it's a tough job, so I think your heart has to be into it, and it's not, you know, I don't think, no one goes into vet med for the money, obviously, but I really think not that I try to make this my life, and I really try to live a balanced life and have things outside of work and hobbies, and but you really have to enjoy what you do to make it worthwhile, and I feel that way about vet school. I mean, vet school was hard, it was a lot of studying, but I only have good memories of vet school because it's what I wanted to learn. So yeah, it was rough, but
Absolutely.
if you really want to do it, it doesn't make it so bad. So
yeah, so I guess pursue what you really
right,
enjoy doing.
and if you're not sure, spend time with a vet and different vets, and you know, small animal, large animal, zoo if you can get in there. I mean, because there's so many different areas that just because you don't like one thing doesn't mean you might not like something else. So.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you so much. We
Sure.
appreciate it.
No problem.
And again, this is Dr. Corey Paradigm from Cleveland Equine Clinic, and that was our first APVMA VetFit. Thanks, guys.